Students are being joined, no problem. I'd like to share this document, this video to you. However, so yesterday we have seen how a particular exception can be. So these are the different blocks which we are supposed to use in exceptions. If any exception will be raised, then we'd like to write a particular data, a particular piece of code, here as far as the Python is concerned. If you consider that any exception will be gets raised, and you are expected to write your piece of code at this particular place here. Okay, so just wait for a while. Any piece of code which is being available with you, that particular piece of code can be written at this place in try block. If so exception will be raised or causes to raise within any statement, so that exception is going to be handled by this else block here, except block here. And if any other exceptions which are not mentioned by you in except block, then you have to take into consideration of this else block here. So therefore, we'd like to write our exceptions in such a way, so by using try, except, else, and finally. Okay, now so I'd like to show you some other kind of exceptions which are available. Those exceptions can be, first exception can be seen something like this. Exception number asset. Asset is one particular keyword which will be always take the condition here. Any condition, you can specify any condition, and if this particular condition will be gives you in a proper way, so you'd like to take that particular condition will not be generated any error, so it will be taken else part. It will be taken else part. If any error will be generated, then it will be taken except part. Okay, except part here. So like this, you could able to generate the handle the exceptions by using asset as well. By using asset as well, you can able to do the particular activity here itself. So doing this kind of activity, how you could do this particular asset operation in terms of doing the problem here in the sense. So this is the way you could able to do here. Let me give you the program, then you could understand what I'm speaking here. Okay, so still more people are joining. Still more people are joining. Just wait for one more minute. Okay, so as much as many 15 people have joined. Okay, however, I'd like to show you how to asset is going to be gets activated as far as the Python exception handling is being concerned here. So let me show you that. Okay, so let us take one particular number. Let me check that whether number is even number or not. If it is even number, of course you could able to write using if else block as well. But in terms of exceptions, it could also be handled. How this could be gets handled, let me show you. So let me take try. So I'd like to handle take one particular input n. N will be equal to integer of input of enter a number. A number can be taken here. Then followed by immediately, I'd like to check that. So whether this particular number will be even or not, so that without using if clause with exception handling, how you can handle this one here in the sense you have to write one particular condition followed by asset here. Asset. So that particular number modulus of 2. So this is the general activity we are supposed to write here, and this will be always specifies that. So it may be if this condition will be returns true. If this condition will be returns true, it will be taken else part. If this condition is returns false, then it will be taken except class. I mean except keyword here. Okay, so quite opposite operation of the if class here. Let me write except. If condition is false, for example, this condition will be, let me say, if a condition will be false, except condition will be false, condition will be false, it will be taken, except will be taken. So what your expectation here in the sense, you just write one particular statement here, print. So let me say n comma is not an even number. Okay, is not an even number. If this condition is false, if this condition is true, except will be taken true. What do you mean by this particular else part here in the sense? If this particular condition will be true, whatever the except condition you have written, that particular condition will be true, then else part will be taken. Okay, so please remember, it's very important to understand, because I am giving you one numerical example, but while doing some kind of activities with other kind of so programming, something like so reading data from a file or writing data onto the file, then the situations will be come across with the asset here. So I'll give you some examples in the classroom. So by fifth onwards, I'll give you some problems so regarding to asset as well. Okay, here my actual outcome which is being taken into consideration, if the condition will be true in the sense, let me write, so it is an even number, n is an even number. That's all you are trying to take that. So if n will be taken as input here, that might be any kind of value here, whatever the value it could be. So if n modulus of 2 equal to 0, so it will be considered as even number. Of course, the same thing can be written like this also. There is no problem at all. So here also you could able to write, let me write in a proper way. So it could be written something like this as well. So if whatever the n value you can take in, so n modulus of 2 equal to 0, then you'd like to say, so print even. You can write this one as well. There is no problem at all. Else it is not at all print not even. Okay, not. So you can write something like this as well. There is no problem at all. There is a specific so if structure to be identified whether given number is prime or not. But I am trying to explain you asserting. So how assert is being gets taken into consideration for so evaluating the exceptions here. Assert will be always taken a particular condition here, and this condition will be written either true or false. If it is true, else part will be taken. If it is true, else part will be taken. If it is false, except will be taken. So hope that you understand the concept here. If it is true, so else part will be taken. So look at this here. Assert condition will be true here in the sense, else part will be taken. Assert condition will be false in the sense, so except class will be taken here. So let me execute this one here. Assert.py. Let me execute this one here for a while, you can understand. So for example, it is 3. 3 is not an even number. Where I have written this particular not an even number here, I have written everything using so except class here. So this condition has taken false. Since it is false, except will be gets executed, and else part will be omitted for execution. Let me execute for one more time, then you could understand. Let me take some 6. Actually 6 is an even number, so 6 is an even number here. So when this condition will be true in the sense, obviously else part will be taken by the assert. Okay, so this is the way how you can perform the operations here. Okay, using assert. So how can you perform the operation? Something seems like this here. Okay, now so this is one way of evaluating the what you call exceptions here. So these kind of exceptions will be considered as so user defined exceptions. Of course, many other user defined exceptions as well. Let me give you one user defined exception here. Okay, let me take another program. Sorry, another program. So look at this. How could you define an user-defined problem exception here? In the sense, you can see this one here. Let me take one particular list here. List will be equal to. Let me take, for example, so 0, comma 1, comma 2, comma 3. For example, let me take these values here, and I'd like to consider. So length of this particular list might be less than or equal to 3. So it's okay. Otherwise, it could be problem here. How could you specify that one here? In the sense, if as far as your problem is, I mean, your statement of problem will be says that number of elements within the list must be only 3. So something like some condition will be there with you. For example, some condition will be there with you. So if that particular condition will be there with you, obviously what you are supposed to do, you'd like to check that length, whether length of your list might be less than 3 or not, less than or equal to 3 or not. If it is not, if it is more than 3 values within the list, then you have to raise an exception. Actually, such kind of exceptions cannot be available. I mean, default or built-in exceptions are not available with us. So list might be any length. There is no problem while defining length of the list here. I mean, I mean appending number of elements into the list. There is no particular range. So while appending some elements into the list here, you can append like anything, any number of values to the list. But our problem will be statement of our problem will be specifies that you are having only 3. Otherwise, you are having only 5. Certain number of elements must be there within your list. Then only you can proceed for processing. Otherwise, don't do such kind of processing here. For example, this is the statement here. Number of elements within the list must be only 3. If 3 will be there, then you can do some kind of operation on the list. More than 3, you could not do anything here. If situation can be seen that more than 3, such kind of built-in exceptions are not there with us. So where exactly built-in exceptions cannot be there with you, then you will go ahead and take the user-defined exceptions. How could you take or how could you raise your user-defined exception here in the sense? So let me give you user-defined exceptions will be exceptions can be raised by using a statement raise. Okay, so raise will be taken. So default exception class exception exception. So of some message, whatever the message you are expected to display, that particular message will be taken here. So before going to take this particular thing, what do you mean by exception here? In the sense, exception is a predefined class. Let me show you how the class structure of exception here. So this is the class structure of exception. This is the class structure of exception here. Look at this. This is the supermost class. This is the supermost class. Base exception is the built-in supermost class here. And then the child of this one inherited by, so base class is inherited by exception. You can say this one, this is the exception. And this exception is inherited by standard error. And these errors might be many things here. So very few of them have given arithmetic errors or environmental errors or runtime errors or lookup errors or syntax errors, many, as much as many. If I take arithmetic error in the sense, for example, 0 division error. So that is the error. Environment in the sense, so input output error, otherwise operating system error. So lookup in the sense, while we are trying to take some kind of data from the list, if list index is out of thing, then that is which is going to be taken something like this. And any keyword error will be, any key will be taken in the dictionary. So the key is not available, then key error, something like this here. So therefore, however, so this particular class will be many, as much as many number of exceptions are available, are defined, built-in exceptions are available. Whatever the marked, whatever the exceptions I have marked here, many number of errors are there. But base exception is a simple class, one particular class, supermost class. This supermost class will be inherited by exception. So we are able to use this particular exception only in our program. Base exception cannot be used, and this exception is being inherited by standard error, and you are having many number of standard errors, something like this here. Many number of standard errors, something like let me say arithmetic expressions or environment expressions, runtime exceptions, lookup exceptions, or syntactic so exceptions. Many as much as many number of categories are available with you. Okay, so now as far as my user defined exception kind of issue, I'd like to take the so I'd like to inherit this particular kind of exception here. This exception is being inherited by me, so that I'd like to produce some message to the user. So you are not doing so and so, so and so. As far as our problem is concerned, our problem is you are expected to have only 3 elements with you, not more than 3 elements within the list. That is my requirement. But my list is not following the proper requirement here. My list is not following the proper requirement here. So wanted to specify that error to the user. So you have to confined with only 3 elements, something like that. You have to specify that particular error in the sense. So that error will be always used with the user defined error. So such as raise. Look at this like this. So raise followed by super class. That super class is the exception, and I have to specify your own message here. Whatever the message you have specified, that will be displayed in throwback error. In throwback error, let me show you. Then you could understand very well. So length of lyst is greater than 3, for example, is greater than 3. If it is less than 3, there is no problem for me. I will do my own activity. But it is greater than 3. What I am supposed to say, raise. So you have to exception is the base class. You can understand. It has been color has been changed here with purple here. Whenever purple will be there, obviously it could be considered as base exception here. Look at this. As and when so I have to put open parenthesis here. There is a tooltip to you. Common base class for all non-exit exceptions. You can understand this one. Common base class for all non-exit exceptions. If exceptions are not available with you, specific exception is not available with you, then it will be taken. So the help of exception will be taken here. So therefore you can take you can write so in the form of f only. It is not supposed to be accepted anything. So length of your list list is greater than 3. So that is the exception. That is the message I would like to convey to the user. And this particular message will be always gives you, this particular message will be always gives you in the form of throwback error. As and when you have to do any kind of mistake in program, obviously it will be sent one particular error, something like this. For example, if I type something here, so there is a traceback or throwback error here. Traceback error will be displayed to you. Okay, traceback error will be displayed. As that, this exception will also be throw same. Okay, so let me say raise is my program name. Let me execute this one here. Look at this. Raise an exception here. Raise exception. What is the exception here in the sense? Length of your list is greater than 3. Okay, here you can observe this one, name error. It is the predefined exception name DJ something, whatever the thing I have typed here, that is not available, that is not defined. This is the message which is being generated by name error here. Okay, name error is predefined error. Now I have raised my own exception. That exception is length of your list is greater than 3. Okay, if you write any other, so expected length is list is 3, but you can write anything, but your list lyst length is greater than 3. Greater than 3. I have rewritten something here. If you execute this one for a while, it will be generated whatever the message you have specified, that message will be thrown here. That message will be thrown as a traceback error. Understand? In this way, you can able to raise your own exceptions by using this kind of thing here. You could able to raise using, so not exactly the same. You can write your own. You can write your own as and when you can follow some condition. If this condition is not true, if you want to throw an error to the user saying that so and so is not following, that you have to apply raise exception, and within exception you have to specify your own message. Whatever the message you are expected to say, yes, you can specify your own message. Okay, so this is the way how so-called exceptions will be raised here. Okay, and let me give you one more application of let me show you here, application of this particular thing here. So try except else, for example, if I would like to specify except for many times, for example, except for many times, how could you write that particular thing here? So you could able to write that particular except for many times. You can see this one here. How could you write except for many times here in the sense? You can see this one here. Let me take the same example here. So I'd like to take a list. List might be having 0, 1, 2, 3 is my list, and n will be taken. So let me take I will be equal to 0. Okay, I will be equal to 0. So while I less than or equal to some 5, for example, less than or equal to some 5. Up to this, I'd like to perform the operation. Here. Now, what is my activity here in the sense? N will be equal to, for example, let me take one particular input here for a while. N will be equal to integer of input, enter a number. So n will be equal to, otherwise x will be equal to, so n divided by lyst of I. Okay, I'd like to immediately print that particular value of x here. Value of x here. Okay, then I plus equal to 1. Look at this. So here two problems are available here. So let me close this one here for a while. So let me delete this one for a while. So here in this particular problem, so you do have two errors. Two exceptions. Number one exception is lyst of 0 will be 0. So n equal to some value, whatever the value you can take. So divided by 0 in the sense, divide 0 error will be occurred. I hope that you understand. So first one is error will be, so here divide by 0, divided by 0 error. So 0 error. So that is the, 0 division error will be occurred. 0 division error will be gets occurred here. Now, so first error, okay. Second error in the sense, if things will be continued, so for example, there is no 0, for example, here in list, there is no 0, then it will be traced back. It will be read the data from list of 0, list of 1, list of 2, list of 3, list of 4, and so on. But here I have taken 5, but we don't have any 5 different types of values here. We have only 4, 0 to 3 only. So list of 0 to list of 3 only. So there are two different types of errors. One is division by 0, and second one is index error. There are two different types of possibilities. Let me execute this one for a while. You could understand what exactly. So number will be, let me take the number will be some 10, for example. So look at this 0 division error. So it will be causes, this particular thing is causes 0 division error. Okay. Now, how could I specify traceback error will be produced by the program in the sense end user can immediately he may be worried about So some error will be occurred here. So to handle that one, we'd like to place everything. Try. Okay, number one, number two. Let me throw on this one towards follow the indentation, proper indentation here. Proper indentation here. Okay, I have taken this particular thing here. So look at this catch. Sorry, except. In Java, it will be called as except is called as catch. Okay. So what is the except you are supposed to specify here? Zero division error. That is the error name. Zero division error. Printf. Okay, whatever the print you can take. So denominator otherwise cannot be divided by 0. Cannot be divided by 0. This is one thing here. This is one thing here. Okay, let me so execute this one for a while. What are the specifications you need to understand here is execute this one here. Number will be some so 3, whatever it may be, cannot be divided by 0. For example, there is no 0, 1, 2, 3. So followed by 4. So as far as this one, now it is there is no 0 here in our problem. There is no 0 here in our problem. Okay, there is no 0. Understand? There is no 0. But while taking this particular value I equal to 0, list of 0 is 1, list of 1 is 2, list of 2 is 3, list of 3 is 4. Okay, list of 4 we don't have any element. List of 5 we don't have any element. So it will be generate some other error. You can see some other error. Let me take some 3. However, whatever the input it might be, list out of range. Okay, index error will be generated. So therefore, to evaluate this one, what we are supposed to write, except one more except 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 index error. Okay, print. So list index is out of range or out of bound. You can take anything. You can take whatever the message you can specify here. Second except. So look at this. Now I can execute this one here. Let me say the value is 10. So you can have the values. Okay, here after taking, so first element, second element, I equal to 0, I equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3. After 3, you got some error here, list out of bound. There is no fourth element, there is no fifth element. Okay, there is no fourth element and there is no fifth element. You can see here. Let me give you one more very, so how could you mention, so this is also being executed here in the sense, let me take one more kind of yum. Yum will be equal to, so integer, input some value here. So this is just for explanation point of view only. So what I am supposed to say here, n divided by list value minus m. For example, why I have taken this particular thing here in the sense, I'd like to specify that. So some 3, for example, some 3. Okay. So m equal to 3 in the sense 3 divided by 3 minus 3, that is 0. 3 divided by 3 minus 3, that is 0. Any one of them, this can be gets executed here. That is the meaning here. So let me say that is 7 is the value of n. Second value is 3, for example. You can see first value is gets okay, second value is gets okay, but when third item is being taken, divided by 0 error is gets activated, so that it is not supposed to be continued. It is not supposed to be continued. Let me execute for one more time. You could observe. So let me say, so here it is some 7 and the value m of value is 0. Everything is gets okay, but list out of bound. Okay. So you might be having, so when it is being trying, this particular piece of code is being trying, then there is a possibility to have this one. There is another possibility to have this one. Both cannot be handled at the same time. Only one thing is being gets handled. One exception is gets occurred. Then obviously your your program will be abnormally terminated. So without termination abnormally, so I'd like to handle that one. If it is zero division error or it is index error, so it could be handled here. It could be handled in a proper way. So this is what so look at this. This is our actual so handling exceptions. What is an exception? Handling exceptions and raising exceptions, user defined exceptions. Up to this, it has been completed. Up to this, it has been completed. Then defining cleaning up actions, redefining cleaning up actions will be taken by me in the afternoon, probably in the evening as well. In the evening as well, I'd like to finish off this exceptions and errors and exceptions by today itself. So tomorrow I shall start a graphical user interface. So therefore, today in the evening, I shall so complete these two as well. I shall complete these two as well. Okay. So that is for today's class, and you can see this is the writing as many number of things. So for example, let me continue this one for a while. If you are trying to take one more thing here, finally, however, finally block can be executed without any hesitation. So let me say printf, print. So the exception was handled by the user. For example, okay, print the exception was handled by the user. So however, if your program will be generated any exception after handling that exception, finally must be executed. Whether exception will be raised or not, that doesn't make any sense. It must be executed. It must be. Let me show you in two ways. Number one, so look at this. Let me execute this one here. My value will be some 7. So 0. Here index value can be list index value can be executed, and how the exception was handled by the user finally. Okay. Now let me eliminate this one for a while. Let me eliminate this one for a while. What is this? Eliminate this one for a while. So let me eliminate this one, and I'd like to give 5 elements. I'd like to give 5 elements here: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 6. Totally, so 5 in the sense totally 0 to 5. That is totally 6 elements must be available within the list. Look at this. There is no 0 division error. There is no index error right now. There is no 0 division error. There is no index error right now, because so 6 elements are available, 0 to 5. That is 6 elements are available. Everything has been taken care and everything. And here the exception was handled by the user will also be displayed. Look at this. Look at this. Let me say the value could be some 5. You can see this one. The exceptions were handled by the user. However, finally block can be executed at any point of time after completion of the program. Last and final exception class, which is going to be a class CLAUSE class, which is going to be accepted or executed, is finally. After that, there is no exception. You are not supposed to define any exception. For example, if I put this particular thing here, for example, if I would put this particular thing here, and let me eliminate 2 elements here. Let me eliminate 1 or 2 elements here, for example. Okay, now we are having only 5, expecting 6. We are only available 5, but finally is in between 2 except. So let me see. Look at this. Look at this. Invalid syntax. After finally, there must not have any other excepts or elses. I hope that you understood. After finally, if you define finally, it must not have any other else or except. Okay, except or else could not be defined after finally. So this will be the last and final clause, CLAUSE clause within the exceptions. After finally, you are not supposed to mention anything. You are not supposed to mention anything here. So that is the point which we have to remember. So now the problem is okay. Now the problem is okay here. Let me take some value, whatever the value it may be, some 5 or 6, whatever it may, list out of bound and was executed by, handled by the user in a proper way. Was handled by the user in a proper way. Okay. So after finally, you should not give any other thing. So you should not give any other except or else blocks. So that is what. So up to this, that is the point. So I am parallelly, I am preparing material for you as well. Most probably by Tuesday or Wednesday, I shall give you material as well. Okay, na? So I'll forward the material to Google Classrooms. So this is what about the class for today. Okay. So I shall continue in the evening. Again, Python class in the evening. Okay.